As we get closer to the Super Bowl, the storylines amplify. You go back to former reports on certain players and coaches, and you match that up with what social media and the media are saying now. So here to talk Eagles storylines is Bo Wulf of The Athletic. And let's go back to 2021, Bo. Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni was kind of mocked and clowned at his introductory press conference, and now he's coached Philly into the Super Bowl. So what did he do to get his players to buy into his culture and reach the levels of success that he's had in such a short period of time?
Yeah, it's a good question, and that's sort of what I wrote about on The Athletic the other day. You can read that story, but it's interesting because he was so made fun of, and he became like the butt of the joke for the NFL after that press conference. But if you go back and listen to it, a lot of the things that he emphasizes and that have led to this Eagles culture that he's created, he talked about. And if you were able to sort of get through the stammering and the awkwardness of him standing up there all by himself in front of an empty auditorium, on Zoom, a lot of the things that he said were true and were sort of prescient about how things were going to work in these 2 years in Philadelphia. But it's also like what has worked for him with the locker room is being himself. And so when you see him like mean mugging the camera, that's the same competitive part of his personality that, was him playing his brothers in basketball as a kid. When you see him waiting with Zach McPherson, this rookie cornerback, when they lose their playoff game to the Bucks and they get back to Philadelphia and his car breaks down, like that's the same part of him that loves being a teammate and loves sort of caring. But if you go back to that first press conference, one of his very first things as head coach when the team got together that spring and organized team activities was he showed them that press conference and it made fun of himself and talked about how mad it made him to get made fun of. And I think that sort of endeared him right away to the players that, he was willing to be accountable himself. And so, if you're going to call out other people, you got to sort of be willing to call out yourself too.
Yeah, that's a great way to get a bunch of grown men to buy in, Another storyline is the Eagles' run game against the Chiefs' run defense. KC defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo has had success in big games stopping high-powered pass offenses. But how can Spags and his KCD stop Philly's bread and butter? And if they do, can Philly still pull off a win?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what the answer is because the matchups up front really favor the Eagles. They have been able to run on the best run defenses in the league, including San Francisco last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather, in the NFC Championship game. And so going up against a middling run defense that the Chiefs have, I think the Eagles feel pretty confident that they're going to be able to run the ball. The flip side is the Eagles also think they had advantages on the outside, where the Chiefs, if you look at like the DVOA numbers by receiver split, they have done a very bad job, I think 31st in the league against opposing number one wide receivers. And so I sort of expect the Eagles' game plan in this game to be very similar to what most of their game plans were during the season, which is to say pass heavy in the first half, trying to get a lead, taking some shots downfield to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And then if they get that lead in the second half, really leaning on trying to run downhill against a Chiefs defensive line that is not built to stop the run.
They've also been doing a great job with the RPO, not only running the ball with that, but throwing out of it as well.
Sure.
These guys are catching the ball, and they're making yak. Yak will break your back, is what we like to say. Jalen Hurts is the guy that's running that offense, and he's the latest underdog quarterback to take his team to a Super Bowl after pretty much getting wrote off by just about everybody when he was coming out of college. If Jalen wins this game, where does this put him in terms of the top quarterbacks in the league?
Well, I think it makes him a very wealthy man because I know if he wins this Super Bowl, he's getting a contract extension this offseason anyway, I think. And obviously the price goes up if he is the Super Bowl winning quarterback. But I mean, I think I'm sort of out of the business of trying to predict exactly what's next for Jalen Hurts because I feel like I have been more bullish on him than most, and he's still far exceeded my expectations sort of at every point. And so, I think right now at 24 years old, him leading this team, if they are able to win a Super Bowl, to me, he's like, it's Mahomes and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. And then it's like there's a conversation for the next guys, and I think he's right in there because what he's able to do for the offense, what he brings to the table as an improved passer, and what he brings just sort of by himself by the added number of improving the run game for the entire team, it's really hard to replicate. And as long as he's able to stay healthy, it's hard to it's hard to really get better than that.
He's an underdog overachiever that continues to overachieve. That's where I like to put it. I kind of hated on him as well when he came out. I didn't think that he would have the success that he has, and he's kind of shut all of us up. Bo, thanks for joining us, man. Enjoy Phoenix, and love the articles.
Sure, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.